Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Good morning, good day, depending on where you are tuned in from. This is the Thursday Morning Digest, and as always, we come to you live from our Elevate TV studios right at the heart of the city of Nairobi. Today we have a very, very interesting guest, somebody I've known, and she will be talking to us about women empowerment, financial empowerment. She'll also talk to us about our organization. Again, I just remind you, please share our links. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. Share the link so that others can also, get the information that we'll be sharing this morning. Why is it important for us to talk about women empowerment, and particularly financial or economic empowerment? Economic empowerment is important for everyone, but for women particularly, because we do understand that we live in patriarchal societies. Even where there is no patriarchy per se, we do know, even scripturally, that women are supposed to submit. So this sometimes, when taken out of context, places women in very, very dire, situations when they are not economically empowered. So it is important for us to discuss this issue so that we also know, how can women also contribute to their households? How can women, economically empower themselves so that they can not only add value to themselves, but add value to their families and to the society as a whole. And so without taking much more time, I want to introduce our guest. Karibu sana, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Lorraine and I go way back, very way back. It's just lovely to see her in a different space and at a different time. But as I say, we bless the Lord. My name is Jennifer Mwai. I am the co-founder and the public relations manager for Friends of Luka Foundation. Friends of Luka Foundation is in Uganda, and it deals with women and girl-child issues, really in a nutshell. That's what we deal in. So we've been at it. It started as, really, it was more of giving back to the community. So it started as me and a few individuals and a few well-wishers. But beginning of this year, I felt the Spirit telling me I need to, if I need to have more impact, I'll need to bring more people in, more funds in, to be able to do more, because right now we are constrained. When there's no finances between me and the rest of the people who are helping, then things stop. So basically we are very, very passionate about women and girl issues. Really, very passionate about them.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. Beautiful. So maybe you can now tell us, so what exactly do you... No, first, before you talk to us about what you do, why women?
Why women?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm a woman. I understand the issues we go through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of everything put in paper, but what is put on paper does not necessarily trickle down to the day-to-day that we have to go through. So I'm passionate about women because I have realized that, especially financially, if a woman is not empowered financially, there's a lot of things that go wrong. I will talk a bit more about the Proverbs 31 woman. People usually, we come in, we're so excited about that verse from 10 to 31, but most of these issues that are discussed in Proverbs 31, 10 to 31 are really pertinent to women, which shows that if a woman does not have a source of income or is not bringing in any income, then there'll always be like a problem, or there'll always be issues in the family, looking after children, especially looking after children, and then even them as women, because we have to understand, I will want to come from the foundation.
Yes.
I believe that in the Bible they say, for I know the Lord tells us he has plans for us to prosper us and give us a hope and a future. So even before, we're formed in the womb, the Lord knew us. We were not by accident. He had a plan and purpose for us. So when we come into with the financial aspect, we are not coming in just from a point of societal pressure or everything. God has a plan for us. We have a plan and purpose, and when we plug into that plan and purpose, then we have to work towards it. And finance is one of the things that has to be right. So for women, my foundation is for Proverbs 31. I tend to talk about 5 issues.
Yeah.
I tend to talk about, I summarize it in 5 issues. Number 1, spiritually. They talk about the fear of the Lord.
Yes.
A woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
Yeah.
In Proverbs 10, it talks about the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We go on the fear of the Lord says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all these things shall be added unto you. So I look unto it as self-love, more of self-love. We have to start from a point of self-love, and spiritually is where the self-love comes, where you come to your Father in heaven, you say, I am here, I worship you, I adore you, and then you ask the Father in heaven, what is my plan and purpose? Because realistically, that is our blueprint. That is our blueprint. I do not believe that we are meant to run aimlessly in life. I do not believe that we are meant to be influenced by other people to decide what we need to do. There's a plan and purpose, and once we are aligned with our Father in heaven and aligned with our plan and purpose, then everything, like they say, all these things that shall be added unto us come from our communion with God. So self-love is that, plugging into the Spirit and finding out God's plan and purpose for you, and then you sitting down and deciding. It's just like coming to town. Where are you coming from? Which roads will get you into town? There are very many various roads. So whichever road you pick definitely has to get you to town. So that is how it is. So without knowing your plan and purpose, without knowing your blueprint, I like to call it the blueprint, it's very hard for you to practice self-love, like to stretch self-love efficiently and effectively. Because first, you have to do what the Lord wants you to do, or what the Lord has purposed you to do, before it trickles down to everyone else, to family, to friends, to the people you're helping, to everything else. So women are really the backbone of family. I will call them the priestesses of a home, because they're the conduit between the father and the children, and then there's quite a lot that goes through them. So a woman who has like the 5 things I like to consider, like plugged in and everything, and I teach a lot about this to women. So when they come in and they tell me, oh, finances, I tell them finances are a beautiful thing, but there's a process, and once you do the process correctly, then all these things shall be added unto you. So first, what is your purpose? The first thing I like to say, spiritually, I take that as my pinnacle, because once you know who you are as a child of God spiritually, and the rest tends to trickle down very well. I call that self-love. Number 2, health. We always pray for long life and good health, so that we can live long. So that is physical health. So how are you looking after yourself? How do you even know your blood group? They say in the Bible, they say my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Do you know your blood group? Do you know what you're supposed to eat? Are you exercising? Are you eating right? Do you know your body mass index? Things like that. We take these things for granted, but when you're kneeling down and asking God for long life, you also have to do your part. You have to do your part. You have to take care of yourself. So you have the spiritual. Number 2, the second facet will be the physical one. Then the third one, emotional. So I'll refer to the Proverbs. I'm still quoting in the Proverbs 31 context. The emotional. Her children wake up and call her blessed. Her husband calls her blessed too and praises her. There is no woman who who does not thrive
Yeah.
when her family praises her. There is no woman. So emotionally, once you have that emotional support from your family, you can fly. You can really, really, really fly. Then mental, because I believe, they say the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah.
I believe that when you're in a perfect and correct mental state, then the wisdom flows. So we see the woman, the Proverbs 31 woman. She's able to trade because of wisdom. She's able to do investments because of wisdom. You know, so her mental space her mental health has to be in a correct space. And it is correct because, number one, spiritually she's plugged in. Number two, her health is okay, because when you're sick or when something is wrong with your body, you cannot function, like you say, 100%. Then emotionally, she's in a very good space where she can go out and really be the best that she can be. Then mentally, she's able to, the wisdom, and that is where, all the things come in, how she can plan, how she can manage, how she can do everything is mental. And then finally, financial. Because most of the verse or most of Proverbs 31 is just to show us she's a hardworking woman. She wakes up early she trades with the merchants. She buys land and makes a vineyard. Her children never lack. Her children never, So those 5 things for me as a woman have to be right. So even when you're not married, I want to come back to the emotional side around you. Who are you surrounding yourself with? How are they empowering you to be the best that you can be? So once you have these 5 facets, I like, we did biology. Biology is something they call a symbiotic relationship.
Yes.
So all these 5 mutually benefit each other.
Yes.
So when you don't have, or one is not functioning well, okay, the 4 they'll function, but not as efficiently as they would function together. So that's what I love to teach women. When you have these 5 things right, then everything else will come, will be okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm teaching that under Proverbs 31. So I like to break it down to women, especially people are like, the Bible, but still, when you break it down that way, then someone begins to understand that this is a very, very profound verse in the Bible. So as women, we have a lot of responsibility. We have family. First of all, we have ourselves.
Yes.
God has a plan and purpose for us.
Yes.
Are we fulfilling it? Number 2, we are nurturers. Nurturers to our husbands. We support, we encourage, we pray for, we build, we empower, and then same trickles down to the children. And then not the children only, then you have your household. You have people who work in your household. You have people who come in and come out. So there's quite a lot that is required of us. And if we don't have those 5 things running well with us, or those 5 things taken care of properly, it would be hard for us to function. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Viewers, I hope you have caught that foundation, which is very, very important. I mean, I've read Proverbs 31 so many times, but you've broken it down so well, and in a manner that is so easy to understand, that just, classify it into 5. And then look at whether those 5, whether you can tick those 5 things, then you'll know you are well on your way to health all round, So thank you so much for that foundation. So we are still answering the question, why women? You said we are natural, as women are the foundation, more or less, of families. We are the ones that are actually at the center, so to speak, because we support, for those that are married, the husbands or their spouses, and then we also nurture the children. And again, from Proverbs 31, we are looking after the household. But then now I just want to find out, so why the woman in Uganda? Why not Kenya? Why not? And I need to ask that because there is a current discussion. Kenyans online. One of the athletes at the Olympics is Kenyan by birth. But was participating on behalf of another nation. So we need to understand why you're not doing it to us here.
To you here. I think by default, I happen to live in Uganda. I happen to have worked in Uganda. And I believe, Lauren, let me tell you something. Like, in the rural areas that I work in, or the women that I interact with, there are issues across. I think African women have like that, those similar challenges. Yes, similar challenges that come from a lot of like you say, we are a patriarchal kind of society.
Yes.
That come from a lot of, they say submission, but submission in what way?
Yeah.
So even the men, there needs to be a lot of education about what submission is really all about. Because in the Bible is clear. A man who submits to God is a man who should be submitted to.
Yes.
So it's submission, it's not like a passe, I'm your man, I'm your husband, submit. There's a direction, because like I say, it's easier to submit to a person who's really like doing what he's supposed to do. Very easy. It comes naturally and automatically. Now, I come from a culture where they kneel down.
Yes.
when greeting their men, and then Kenyan women be like, what? How? But
I actually saw maybe a relative, I think they had gone to request for a girl hand in marriage, and all the men, I actually saw pictures, men kneeling to enter the house.
Oh, okay. Now that's the culture in northern Uganda. They're like the Luos.
Oh,
yes, so those ones literally crawl. They scroll, but from the central region, from the eastern region, we kneel down.
Okay.
We kneel down, like not only to our husbands but to our elders, just as a form of respect. Yes, as a form of respect.
Okay.
But late, of course, it's very hard from the beginning. When I was coming from here, trying to get into that culture, but you get used to it eventually.
Okay.
So for women, I think it cuts across, and it's just that I was found to be in the Ugandan space, and then I was found to be a woman as well. I understand issues, and then even the people you bring in, you employ.
Yes.
Later, when you come to realize, when you get to be their friends and you speak to them, you realize that these women have almost similar issues. I'm looking after the child alone. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It's no. There's not this. There's not that. And it led me to decide what to do. And then the area that where we function, because Luka is a province. I know a district in Uganda.
Okay.
It has one of the poorest region in Uganda. Yes. So there's a lot of issues in terms of, actually, when we started the foundation, we started it from an education angle.
Okay.
We looked at it and we're like, if we don't educate girls, it's as good as useless. Because at the end of the day, number one, in terms of population, women are more than men. So naturally, we need to get women in a workforce or doing some form of economic activity to be able to also survive. Because if we are more than men and it's one ratio, 1-to-1, one man to one wife, then there are going to be women who are single.
Yes.
So they need to be prepared that even when they're not, in a marriage setting, they should be able to look after themselves. So we started with girls. With girls, we realized that, something we take so for granted, sanitary towels.
Yes.
Like, girls will not sit their final leaving exams when that situation comes in because they do not have sanitary the material. So, and when she misses the exams, next year, waiting to sit next year might not make sense. So they usually drop out, and there's a high rate of teenage pregnancies in Luka. So we just came in and tried to see how we can mitigate it. So initially, we were doing the disposable pads. Okay. But right now, we decided to sit down and try to see if we can use the reusables. Why? We want to stretch, like we were just coming into to intervene the time for exams. And then we realized that during the year, they miss classes. Because when that happens, 4-5 days, she's not in school. Why? There's a lot of stigma, there's no material, and then when you're in school, you know how boys can be. They're young, they don't understand these things, and they don't know that they cause a lot of trauma to the girls when they're, when they jeer or they what in case of anything. So the girls literally stay away from school until that is done, and then they come back. So we decided, why don't we? So this year is when we're coming in and trying to see what we can do, you know, try to bring in other people to come and help us with that, because we want to see that we start giving reusable sanitary pads at the beginning of the year. So we ensure that at least the girl stays in school throughout the rest of the year. And then another thing is an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And in the rural areas, girls go to school at a later age. So you find that a girl in primary 7 is 15 years, 14 years. That's the teenage stage. That's the exploration stage. So they're easily carried away by this boda men. There's a lucrative sugar, you know, sugar activity going on. So very little money to get them chapati and what, and their game. And then I think for me the saddest part, when you interview some girls, you realize that their friends actually advise them to get pregnant so that they don't have to face the issue of menstruation for 9 months. As in, for her, she feels like when she gets pregnant, she saved herself 9 months of worry. For me, this really hit me hard. Because these are young girls. Imagine you're bringing a child into the world. You're not even ready yourself. If you cannot even provide the little basics for yourself, imagine the child that you're bringing in. So for me, I have been passionate about the girl child education. I'm like, at least if they get a certificate, the primary certificate, then they can go to a vocational. They have a semblance of qualifications. At least they have a paper that they can do what? That they can show and say, actually, I went through school, I can speak some English, I can do this and that, I can do basic maths and English. And then we looked at it that way. And then we did not want to leave the boy child behind. Because now we're empowering her. So we do a computer center for, it's for them boys and girls as well. Because we realize that these kids do not know what a laptop looks like. Actually, they look at it with wonder. Yes. So when they come in, they learn basic Word, and then you have people coming in and teaching them a bit of code. Just something to open up their minds. Because I realized we are always motivational speakers when we go to such communities. And then so, oh, you can do this, you can do that. But at the end of the day, the kids do not look around, and they do not even see the possibility of it happening. So when you have some facilities there where a child can go and sit and learn a skill, and when you sit down and you tell them that they can make it, it actually begins to make a bit of sense, because they have had hands-on, you know, there's an extra skill they're learning from the usual school. So that's why we started with education. But then when you start with education, you have to interact with parents. You have to interact with parents and ask parents, but realistically, how can a girl not have the basic needs like sanitary towels? And that's when women come in and they tell you, you know, I'm looking after 10 children, I am alone, you know, issues of, I don't want to talk about this a lot, but you know, there are no men in their lives, they're what, you know, they're solo, they're single, and then you're asking them, what do you have, or what do you do? And most of them don't even have a skill. Don't even have a skill. So what we did is we decided what skills, basic skills, can we impart into these women, so at least they can be able to get a bit of money. So we started a school where we teach sewing, and some of those women are the ones we are going to pick and put in our small production plant to do the reusable pads. So there's that, and then we rolled out the trainings for the teachers. We realized our teachers were in the rural areas were working with really backdated methods of teaching. So you bring them up to speed, you know, teach them about AI, and they're so excited. Then they see Zoom, they're like, oh my goodness, you know. So small things like that. So then afterwards you sit down, and it's just nice to see women who you have, you know, mentored, tried to give a skill. Because even when you're telling, I realized, even when you go and you're telling people, hey, contribute to this woman, and you give her 500,000 shillings, that's a lot of money here, but that's like what?
15,000?
Maybe 10, 15,000? No, 20,000. 20,000 Kenya shillings. And they don't know how to add value let me say. Adding value means, what skill do you have?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Are you able to do it? Look around your community. What can you be able to do?
Yeah.
It's useless. So there are very many, you know, there's this poverty eradication programs that they do, but
Yes.
I felt that we have to go to the roots.
Yeah.
What skills are we doing? What skills are we imparting to the women? What do they want to do, or what is God's plan and purpose for them?
Yeah.
Very important. Because I realize there are people you're just pushing.
Yeah.
And really,
Yeah.
if you ask her, she'd rather just give her money and she goes to gets cows and then she flourishes in the cows. So it's
Yes.
also identifying what are their interests, what are their passions, what are things that they can really do and do well. Because when you empower a woman, you're guaranteed that at home there will be what? At home, the home will be looked after.
Yeah.
It's very rare for a woman to be individualistic, especially when she has children.
Yeah.
So it's through that we've started realizing that there's quite a lot we need to do with women, and also the counseling and support as well. Very important.
Wow. Okay. Now, I like the way you've broken it down in terms of how you identified the issues.
Yes.
And then now you came up with interventions, which now you continuously evaluate to see their effectiveness. But I would want to, maybe you can explain to viewers, maybe there's somebody who feels they have a passion to help women. Where can they start from?
Very beautiful question.
Yeah.
There are very many people around you. That is how we started.
Yeah.
Before we built into, I feel we're still small. We can do better.
Okay.
The Friends of Luca Foundation can do better. But I feel even the Proverbs 31 woman had the aspect of charity, where she gave to the poor.
Yeah.
It can be financial, yes, it can be clothes, it can also be value.
Okay.
What skill do you have? Because most of the time people say, I don't have money, I don't have resources, I don't have what. But what skill do you have that you can use around you? Because I am sure there are women around you. Start with one will tell another, another will tell another, and that's how we started.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we want to start big on a large scale to feel like we've done something. No, empowerment starts with one person. Starts with one person, you pick two, you gain confidence three, and the funny thing is you reach a point where even you have people naturally coming in because now they're like, oh, finally, Lorraine has a space I can go to and sit and, you know, help people. And I have realized I find very many volunteers.
Wow.
You even look for people who are even angry that you're not calling, calling on them to do, do something. Because I think there's an age we reach, we all reach, and there's a spiritual level we reach where giving back becomes like so automatic, or it becomes like a source of joy. Let me say that. For me, it's a source of joy. I see the impact. I see the girls coming and just hugging you. And you know, there's a hug that says, thank you. And you really feel that you have handled an issue that they've been struggling with. So for me, it's just the joy. So I go back broke at home and I'm just telling people I've spent everything, but the joy. The joy. So just start where you are. Start where you are. There are issues, there are kids around, there's what, or also maybe pick one friend, maybe you can go down, there's a slum area, if you don't have people around you, there's quite a lot you can do with those women. Quite a lot. And I'm realizing that now women are receptive, very receptive, because they understand that they need to get somewhere, they need to have a source of income. They also have their dreams. My God, everyone goes to bed at night and there's a sort of life that they're dreaming about. So if there's any way you can start, just look around you. The areas, what can you do? If you cannot do the financial, if you cannot do maybe the food, shelter, clothing, what value can you add in terms of a skill? And if you can do that, you'll have done so much for a woman.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing. Viewers, I hope you're following. Again, I urge you to share the link so that others can participate in the discussion that we are having this morning. Please, if you have any questions, please share them on YouTube, on Facebook. We will be able to look at them right after the break. For now, we need to take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back.